Welcome to the Children's Author Show today. This is a solo episode, and it's just you and me. That's right, no guests, no interviews, just real talk about something super important to every children's author. Today, we're talking about doing events like fairs and festivals, and you don't want to miss it. Welcome to the Children's Author Show. If you ever dreamed of writing a book that inspires young minds, builds a lasting brand, and even creates a sustainable career, then you're in the right place. From crafting unforgettable stories, to marketing your books, to even monetizing your brand, we'll cover everything that you need to succeed as a children's author. So grab your notebook, fuel that creativity, and let's make your author dreams a reality. This is the Children's Author Show. Hey friends, welcome back to the Children's Author Show. Whether you're walking the dog, sipping some coffee, or driving to your next school visit, hopefully, I'm grateful that you are here and listening, or maybe you're watching. Either way, glad to have you joining us for this podcast. And this is your space for honest, encouraging, and very practical insights into the world of writing, publishing, and connecting with your readers as children's authors. And I love it. And today I'm very excited about the topic. Today we're talking about something that I believe is so important for every indie author, self-published author, traditionally published author, wherever you fall into those categories or however you label yourself. I believe this is very, very important. In fact, if you're looking to grow your brand, I don't believe you can do that without what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about events. Now, for many people, I know this can be a very, very challenging piece when it comes to being an author. It's the marketing side, the branding side, the being in front of people side, and that's not for everyone. But today I want to hopefully give you some encouragement and walk you through what I do and how I do it and the importance of them, the value in these events, and why they matter to you when it comes to building your brand. Today, I'm going to talk about book fairs, festivals, markets, anything really where there's a vendor opportunity. So when I talk about events, that's mainly what we're discussing is anything where you are a vendor, whether that is you're setting up inside or outside at a fair, festival, marketplace, whatever that might be, where you have a vendor booth that you're setting up and you're going to promote your brand and your products. You see, these are very powerful tools for you to have. Doing these events, they are very, very powerful, and you need to have them in your arsenal. And today, I'm kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit on what they are, why they matter, and how to do them really well. I believe this is something we do inside of my brand really well, and I want to walk you through kind of what I do and what the realistic expectations should be whenever you're going to these events. Now, I know a lot of people when they think of events, they go to these things and they really hope to make a whole lot of money. One of the things I get asked a lot is, how much inventory do I need to take to these events? How much can I expect to make from these kinds of events? I don't want to sell out of everything. And I will encourage you, if you sell out of things at your event, you've done it right. In fact, that's probably the best thing you can do is walk away with no inventory because you've sold what you had. You didn't over carry too much stuff and you don't have a whole lot of books that you hoped you would sell. But instead, you went into it with some good expectations. And we're going to talk about those realistic expectations here in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about why do these author events matter? Why does it matter showing up as a vendor to all these different things? Now, this could be a small little thing that's happening at a local school or something that's happening in a little marketplace, farmer's market or something like that, where you're a vendor, or such as my event today, where you are part of a children's book regional festival that's happening and you're one of the authors who are there. So let me just say this up front. And this is probably going to be something that may sound very different than what you're expecting to come. But I want to give you what I believe is the most important piece of advice that you ought to hear today. And hear me on this. This is a very vital piece to this whole conversation. Events are not about making money. Now, I do a whole lot of videos of teaching you how to make money as an author, and it's great if you can. I mean, sometimes you do make money at these events, and that's great. And if you're lucky, you walk away with some profit from these events. But I want you to know up front, events are not about making money. Now, I have a whole other section where I talk about how to make money as an author. You got to check out that resource sometime. But and school visits are great ways to make an income as well. But these events, that's not what they're designed for. Fairs, festivals, anything where you're a vendor, I don't believe the purpose should be to try to make money. But if you're lucky, you do actually walk away with a little bit, and that's great if you do. But for me, the goal is pretty simple. The goal is to break even financially. So if it costs me 25 to $50 to be at an event that I'm going to have, if I have to stock up on my inventory, if I have to buy some supplies and all those kind of things, I factor all my cost in, and my goal is to break even. I want to break even so that uh, if I break even, anything above that is a win for me. But really, to win big at these events, the idea is to focus on connections, to focus on branding, and to focus on getting future bookings, future paid bookings for other events and activities that will pay. See, these are all about getting your name out there. I talk a lot about when you're building your brand, you need to become a regional expert. You need to become a go-to author in your community. People need to know of you as a local author. So to do that, you got to be present. And this is a great place for you to become present, that your brand becomes recognizable. Today, my wife and I spent all day at an event here. I mean, this is the evening. I'm coming back from this big event and recording this video while it's fresh and hot, and all the details are on my mind. And I needed to talk to you about it because I recorded some stuff today while we were at the event. But I was very encouraged by today because today, one, is a beautiful day outside. So it was an outdoor event. Last year we were at the same event and it had to be moved inside, and both had great turnouts, but they were just different types of events. Although the same event, they just function kind of differently when everybody is either inside or outside. So today was a beautiful day outside. We all had our tent set up, and it was a fun event. And I looked around, and there's a lot of people that I saw that we are in a lot of these events together. So I walk over and I say hello to them, and I rekindle those connections, and ask how it's going for them and check out their new resources, and just network. And they ask about mine, and I talk about some of the new things we have going inside of the brand and the podcast and all kinds of fun things like that. So it's a great opportunity for you to network and become known as a local author presence. And this event, this regional event, is put on by our big library system here in the area. And so to connect with them, they were very encouraged and glad we were back again this year. And we're very excited, hopeful that we'd be back next year. And like, you're going to come next year again, right? And we're like, yeah, we're going to be here. So it's just great. It's a great event, and we had a great time. But it's all about building connections, building your brand, and focusing on future bookings that are going to be income producing. So these events, I mentioned they're great when it comes to the networking side. Today, I met with a lot of teachers, librarians, parents, kids, and a lot of other authors, both who were local authors I was able to connect with, but also some authors who are on a larger platform than even I'm on, and that they have a national presence, and some of them are, not just award winning, but they are New York Times best-selling authors who they brought in as some primary featured author guest, and so I got to connect with some of them today. And so it was a lot of fun and great for networking, just to build connections, to get your name out there and talk about what you do and talk about how school visits are going in the schools that you're in. And it's a very encouraging time to network with other people. This is also a great opportunity for you to create this local presence, as I've talked about, that you become that go-to children's author in your area because you show up. If those events happen and you're not there, but other authors are, then you're not in the game. You're not in the known world of being one of those local authors. So you need to create that local presence. But as I mentioned, this is about building your brand, letting people see your energy, let them see your message, let them see your resources, let them see your passion, and let them see it live and in person, not just maybe what's written on the page, but let them meet you and connect with you. And like for me, I'm a big personality, so for me, it's about building that. Like I just play it all up and I love it. But maybe for you, it's at least just about connecting. Look at this event. It was great because there was authors of all kinds. And guess what? These kids are stopping in at every one of our booths. One of the great things this event does is they do what they call their passport, and they give every kid a paper, and they give all of us this little stamp. And the kids, if they go to all the booths and get the stamp, they go back and they get a free book at the end And so it's a great way for them to see all the different authors and meet them and stuff. And the kids lit up, whether they were at my booth or someone else's booth. You could just tell they were lighting up getting to meet the person, because when you're able to share that passion in person, that builds your brand. And if you do it right, then your target should be booking now at least one event because of who you're networking with and talking with. So whether that's a school visit or a speaking engagement or maybe a workshop, you need to be talking about these things at these events, because from each event that you attend, you need to have a return that's going to provide some income producing opportunities, because again, the aim of these events are to break even. So we need to book income producing opportunities from these events. And where the real return comes, and honestly, these events, they're just fun. I love them. They're very encouraging. And but here's the what I love the most about these. While it's great to book those income producing opportunities, you're also being able to see kids light up about your resources. You get to meet the readers. You get to talk to the families. You get to be inspired by other authors, and you think about why am I in this game? Because a lot of times this can be very lonely. uh, passion pursuit that you're on, this quest that you're on. It can be very lonely at times because we find ourselves behind our keyboard or sitting in a laptop in a coffee shop all by ourselves, headphones on, and just doing our thing. And so it reminds us, honestly, it's such a great thing for us. It's very energizing and recharging for us to get in front of our audience. Now, you book those events with school visits, you're in front of people too, but it's in these festivals and fairs that you really get to just have some one-on-one conversations as people stop by. Sometimes those conversations are 30 seconds, sometimes they're 3 or 4 minutes. And like today, it's an all-day event, so we talked to a lot of people for various times. But it was nice just to be in touch with the readers, and it was cool just to see kids who came up and were like, "Mom, I've read that book right there. I read Zombie Outbreak," or "Mr. Andy was at my school. I got to meet him at my school. Oh, this is the guy I was telling you about that does the treasure hunts." And so it was real fun just to get to be encouraged by my readers. And you'll feel the same way, but you only get that if you start to build a consistent presence. So you need to be present and consistent in your community. And these events are great ways for you to have that presence and provide those opportunities. So today, what I'm going to do, I want to give you a real life example, because today is very fresh. We just did this event. We just put in a long day, and here I am back at the house. It's almost 8 p.m. for me, and I'm recording this, and it's a whole lot of fun. I couldn't wait. I had to get this recorded to be able to get this out, because I wanted to share this with you guys, just because it's a very powerful thing. I had another podcast that we were going to release this week, and I'm going to hold it off till next week because I want to share about these events because it's just so fresh, and we had such a great day. So let me tell you about the event that we did today. This is, as I mentioned, this was a regional children's book festival. It was put on by our big library network that we have here of several libraries, and they do a great job as a library system in general. They do an incredible job, but also they put this event on. I think this was year number 7 of this event, and they do it really well. And this is an all day event. So we got there this morning at about 8 a.m. or so to start setting up. We had to be there by 8:30 to start setting up, and the event didn't start till 10. But we knew we had, the ground was a little bit wet from some rain yesterday, but it was a beautiful day today, and we had to get set up. And we're like, just in case we got to do some stuff, let's get there a little bit early. And so we take all our supplies. I have a dolly that I carry, and it has a bunch of our little cart that has all of our totes and with resources and all of our setup for our tent and everything else. We got there, we got set up by probably 9 to 9:15, and kids started showing up about 10 a.m. Families started coming in, and we didn't wrap up the event today until 4 p.m. So it's 6 hours of nonstop engagement, but plus another 2 hours of that setup. So it's a full 8-hour day that we're out there with kids and with other authors and doing this event out in the sun. And so, which we had our tent, so it was nice, but beautiful day. No complaints whatsoever. But it's exhausting. But man, it's totally worth it. So what I want to do today is, I told you I want this to be practical. So I want to walk you through a lot of helpful things that make these events be the most successful they can be. So let me break down my setup for you. So here's how it looks. I want to walk you through my setup. I want to walk you through my process, and then walk you through some of the fun things that came about from today. So let's start with the setup. I always do this. I have a front table and I have a back table, especially if I'm inside a tent. Sometimes indoors you may have to do an L shape or something like that. But I always have two tables. I have my front table that is my promotional table where I have just a couple of copies of each one of the resources, all the fun things on there I'm going to talk about in a second. And then I have my back table that's so we sit between those two, and although a lot of times I might be out front, especially for pictures and stuff like that, I try to stay either at the side of the table, but a lot of times we'll sit back behind it so that we can present the resources. And so I have the front table there that has the resources, and the back table is a smaller table that we bring with us that is just a little 4-foot table that we stack up all the resources behind us so that we don't have to put all those resources on the table, but we can just replenish as necessary and it's right there. I know a lot of authors that they'll bring just their totes and they'll work outside of those boxes or those crates that they have. They'll just, pull them from there. I like it a little more clean, so I put the table with the tablecloth behind us and we stack those up nice and neat behind so that people know there's plenty of resources that we have with us. And so and we have I have several books, and so it's nice just to have that inventory right at hand. And in these events, sometimes they if you're selling a lot of books and stuff, it's nice to be able to replenish pretty quickly. And so let me talk about my tent a little bit. So I always have a front table, back table set up. But my tent, here's what I do. It's I deck it out with a couple of things. I always have a promotional banner that is promoting whatever the newest resource or whatever the highlight I want to be. For this one, this is a regional uh, festival that we're doing, and my one of my more recent books I have a local treasure hunt that is part of the family experience, a family adventure at the back end of it. So I had a banner created, and this banner is promoting this local resource, this local treasure hunt that's happening. So it promotes the resource that has a treasure hunt and talks about it. That there's these prizes and 4 tokens that are hidden, and how much the value of those are. So I have that promotional banner. And then I have my price list that is on the table. And I always get them high quality printed in color and on thick cardstock. And I have these little clear plastic or acrylic kind of display things that I can slide them into, and they stand upright on the table. So there's the price list is in one of those, and they have a QR code that is also in one of those. That's all that's on there. It says connect with me on Amazon, and it has the QR code so that people can scan it and go straight to my Amazon page. I prefer to send them that way because almost everybody has Amazon. And sometimes people can get a little tricky if they're trying to manage your website. That can be a little bit tricky. And most people know how to use Amazon. And usually they can drop it in their cart and they can purchase it right away, right there, even if they needed to, if they don't have any money with them at these events. So I have that big QR code in one of those little, these are all 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, cardstock that are in these plastic, high color, high quality prints. So I have the QR code and both those things, usually I just keep them from event to event unless I have to change out my price list. And then I have a big up front upright banner that sits. So if you're looking at my tent on the side, I have that promotional banner that faces sideways, and then we have our 10 by 10 tent that's there, and we have a black drape that goes across the back with the resource table behind it, us in the middle, the table up front, and then just to the right of that, what I do is I have an upright banner that I keep that this my consistent banner that has a big picture of my face and my name and says award-winning author, and then it has a couple of my resources that are on there, and it's a fun eye-catching thing so people know who they're coming to see at this table. Now, usually events provide a sign, but it's usually a smaller sign. So I want my big banner that's there that promotes who I am and shows this big, ugly face on it. But I have that upright banner that's there with my name and brand that are on there. I'm actually looking to do a new one because I've got, the past year, I've got a new brand logo and things like that. So we're going to be upgrading this for next year. Probably going to do a whole new booth setup that's going to be fun as we transition into some new resources we're coming out with, and we have some ideas of how to make this a little more friendly when it comes to shopping. Because now that I have, after this and getting into the summer, I'm going to have 15 resources, and so it's a lot of books to try to promote and let people. So we want to have a little more of a stepping into a storefront kind of feel to it. So we're just working on some creative ideas for our booth there. but we're going to do some rebranding things for our booths this next year. But this is what I do currently. And so those tables up front, they are loaded with my books and resources and freebies. And I'm going to show you a little video and some pictures at the end of this just to walk you through, let you see what that looks like. But I had those books on the table that are laid flat, each one of them, and but also have them upright as well, sitting on using some different holders to be able to keep those books standing upright. And it fills the table up pretty good. Now, you don't want it clunky, but you want to make sure that it does feels good, that it's not doesn't feel empty either. And so it had all the resources spread across this big 8-foot table. And I had a card that I had printed that it allows everybody to walk away with something. So this card is just a kind of an index size card, a little 3x5 or whatever that size is, a little postcard size. Nothing too crazy, but about the size of an index card that I had printed with my QR code. So it has the newest resource on there, and it also has a QR code that takes them to my Amazon page that has all of my books listed, so they can go through and find any of the books and resources there. So they're walking away being connected to my resources. So no one's walking away empty-handed no matter what. So I make sure every person walks away with that card. So they remember, even if they didn't buy anything today, they remember who I am, and as they're thinking about it, it's like, man, I wish we would have got that. Oh wait, didn't he give us a card? And it has that book on there, the newest book, and then it has my brand, so that they can connect and remember who this card is for. Plus, I love to have fun giveaways, so we had some fun giveaways to give away, and I'll talk about those here in just a second. And I can't emphasize this enough. When someone walks up to your booth, your presentation matters. You're not just there selling books. You're there building your presence. You're there building your brand, and how you present, it matters. Now, you don't have to have this fancy, elaborate presentation, but the presentation you do give, and that comes from how it looks and how you sound, it matters. It's important. It needs to be high quality. And so what I've done is, over the years, I have created my own little system. I mean, that's the way I am. I create a system and I have a strategy for what I'm doing. And there's some kind of, I got to put a formula to everything that I do. Right. And so this is my must have strategy for my presentation for someone coming up to my tent, to my vendor booth. I call it this: books, hooks, pause, and pitch. Books, hooks, pause, and pitch. You see, this is my system, and I want to encourage you, steal this from me if you want to. It works. It's so great. This is something I've developed over time that I believe is very helpful. Books, hooks, pause, and pitch. Let me walk you through what those are and what they mean. The first one should be very obvious. My books. You're going to need your books. And here's what I want to encourage you to do. If you only have one resource, you need to work on creating multiple resources. I like to have something for everyone who walks through at children's book festivals or events that at least are in my target audience. Now, if I'm at a marketplace, I'm not going to have something for adults and for teenagers and all that stuff, because I'm a children's author. But I want to have something for every child that walks by when it comes to resources. So you need something for everyone, right? If you're going to be able to provide that, so if you're an author, I encourage you to keep producing more books and try to do some crossover for different ages, especially if you've created a picture book or a picture book series, even that's been your world. Maybe try to create a chapter book at some point, just to have something for the older kids too. That way you're not just only focusing on a very niche audience, because usually these events have a wide range and they have a family. So if you hook one kid with a book and there's also a book for somebody else, you usually get that bonus purchase from the sales. Now, again, this is about breaking even. This isn't about making money, but you become a great stop for a lot of people to come in and connect with you. So, picture books are great. So I have picture books for the little kids that are there, 3 to 6 year olds. And then I have a fun fact book series that I have that we have some fun books called the Big Seven series, where the 7 summits and the 7 most dangerous animals in the world. And so it's a fun book series for those curious readers. And then I have a chapter book series for older kids that centers around treasure hunts. And so the goal is to appeal to each one of those kids, each one of those age groups that they come walking by. So that's the books. And you want to have those front and center. no doubt. And you want them upright. You don't want just laying down flat. You want to be able to prop them up in some kind of way so they can see the face of the books. And if you don't have that, at least maybe get something printed. So you may want to print some high quality book covers that you want to put in those little plastic display things, and then have your book laying down. That's fine if you want to do that, but you need to have something that is vertical, that shows as they walk by they can see the cover of the books, and then a couple of copies on the front table for people to grab and put their hands on and look at. And I always encourage people to pick up the book. I know some authors don't like it when they don't want people touching them unless they're going to buy it. I let them thumb through my book, because if they mess it up, I just put it back in the back, and it becomes one that I either give away at something or I'll discount it later. But let them touch it, let them feel it, let them look at it, look through and see what you got. So um, having something for all those ages is helpful to have, and as they're walking by. So that's the books. You want them front and center, people to see them, very visible, touch it, feel it, look through it, all that stuff. That's the books. The next one are the hooks. So books and now hooks. These are the little things that draw people in. You want the books to be up front, but you need something that's going to draw people in. And well, here's what I use. And I encourage you to do the same at these events. I use two things. I use candy and I use stickers. So as they're walking by, now at this event I did today, they also have this little stamp system for that passport. So it's like, did you get your stamp yet? No, I'll get my stamp. So when they come over, while they're walking over, I'm like, hey, you need some candy or some stickers? And like if parents are like, oh, no candy, I'm like, I'll get you a couple of stickers then. So candy and stickers are my hooks to get them in. And again, there was a built-in one here with that passport. So we had 3 hooks today: candy, stickers, and the little passport stamp. And that's it. We keep it simple. And so kids walk by and they grab a quick little treat or a fun little souvenir sticker, and now you've got a conversation starter. So while they're coming, and I don't do a single candy, I do variety candy. So they're thumbing through what type of candy they want. And while they're there, I start talking about the books, right? But I told you it's books, hooks. Before I make the pitch, I have what I call the pause. The pause. What's going to make them stay? Because they can quickly grab a candy and sticker and roll out. I need something that's going to draw a crowd and keep people standing in front of me for a little bit. And so here's what I do. I have a pause it engages one person, but it creates a crowd. Now you can do whatever you want for this, but you want something that's going to draw a little bit of a crowd, that's going to have some conversation. People are going to like, what's happening here? And you're going to see people just start to come in and they're eavesdropping a little bit of what's happening. And here's what I do for my pause. I have a clear jar, a little mason jar, that my wife and we counted up some change, and we packed that jar full of quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, and packed in there a lot of quarters because I like to make it attractive to those who are looking at it. We pack it full of all this change, and then here's the challenge. We have a little sign that says, if you can guess it, you get to keep it. So if they can guess the exact amount that's in there, they say it out verbally, and we'll tell them, oh, that's a great guess, but that's not it. If they can guess it exact, then we give them the full jar of change. And, like these jars we do, these events, they maybe have $30, $40, $50, $60 worth of change that are in these jars, just depending on how big the jar is for that event or how much change that has happened. We've given away a jar before, which is kind of fun when you get to give it away. But today we had people that were getting within 20 and 30 cents of being there. We never tell them how close they are. As the day goes on, we might say, hey, we had somebody within $1 or within 50 cents. And then we'll always let the group know who was closer among the people, and as they're guessing. So there's one person holding the jar and they're trying to guess, right? But people start to draw in. They start to come in and they want to find out what's going on. So while this is happening, I say, this is our treasure jar. See if you can guess what it is. And I'll announce to the people that he's trying to guess how much is in the jar. We actually write treasure books. We have these chapter book series that are full of. So what have I done? I've transitioned into my pitch while there's a pause. Even if it's just one family that walks up, while I have the kid holding the jar, I start to give my pitch while there's a lingering moment that's happening. They've already got candy, they already got stickers, but now there's this thing. They want to get the exact number, and they're pausing at my booth. They're lingering. It gives me a chance to start talking. So that's where I jump into the pitch, right? The what you say when they stop. I don't start with this. I start with let them see the books. I ask if they want candy or stickers. I give them an opportunity for my pause, whatever that might be. That for me, it's that little jar, and you don't have to have treasure books to do that. It's a great little event just to get people to, and you can tie it into however you want to, theme it out to your stories, your books, whatever. But for us, we have treasure hunting books, and so it's a fun little connection having the change there. And while they're stopped, I go into my pitch, and it's the same, almost verbatim every time, and I tailor it to the child's age that's there. So if it's younger kids that are there, I have my little kid book series, right? That's Mighty Max, and it's focused, it's picture book series. And I say, for our younger kids, we got our Mighty Max series, and Mighty Max helps his friends and sometimes gets helped by his friends learning how to face his fears. And so I drop that little nugget and then I let that just rest, just make that announcement. But I say, but what we're known for is our treasure hunting books. We have this book that has this treasure hunt and this book that has this treasure hunt. They're both fun stories. But our most recent book that we just released has a local treasure hunt. And we hid 4 tokens across the area. And if you find a token, I go into that pitch about that book. And while that kid's still counting the jar, I have so many parents who are like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. And summer's approaching. Like, we could do that this summer. And, so I go into that pitch and every time it's the same. And every time it's promoting the newest resource. And even before I had the local one, it was about these treasure hunts that we have, but how fun the story is. And I've built it to focus it to my brand. Now, you may not have a treasure hunt, but you can do something that is going to be catching for your audience. So, why they need this book? What is the must-have right now that they need that you have a banner for? What's the newest and latest, and it's up front, and you're finishing with that one. So, I've got this, and I've got this, but this is the resource you need while you have them hooked. You're making the pitch. So, for us, again, it's the most recent one that we have. And then, once they decide to buy, and I'm telling you, it's inevitable that once I make the pitch, somebody that's there is going to end up buying one of those books because it's exciting, it's energizing, and kids are guessing and they're getting candy, and it's just a fun environment. And I've pitched on the how fun it is for families, and so we always, someone's going to buy when the crowd is like that, especially when it's multiple people. So once they decide to buy, I sign the book. They'll purchase it, and I'll say, "Hey, let me sign that for you." And they're like, "Give me a clue to the treasure." No, I don't do that, but I do sign the book, and I keep it super simple when it comes to that point too. I sign it, give it to them, and for them to pay, I keep that simple: cash, check, or Venmo. That's what I do. I used to do credit cards and stuff at events, but then you get into the whole fee thing, and usually a separate device or some kind of swipe something. And sometimes people are a little bit tricky on whether or not they're going to give you the card. And there's just a lot of, people, it's a weird thing now. So, but most people have Cash App or Venmo, especially young parents. And then for those older, check or cash. So, or I mean, anyone can pay check, cash, or Venmo. Age doesn't matter, but that's just typically what we find is younger families like younger parents tend to be more digital, Venmo, Cash App. And then if it's grandparents that are with them, they prefer kind of cash or check. And usually most of them have a card, and I'm like, oh man, we don't do cards. However, we do have Venmo or cash or check options available. And if they don't have any of those, what I do, I give them that card with the QR code and say, hey, if you order this on Amazon, this will take you straight to Amazon. You can have it today. It'll be here in a couple of days, and you can have the resource that way. So does it cost me a few sales? Maybe. Today it didn't. Today everyone had those options available to purchase. So we didn't lose anything today. But I have had a few over the years that I didn't get that sell immediately. But I usually pick it up through my Amazon account. But there's no need for like the card readers and complicating tech and having to wait for that kind of stuff to clear, and then just needing power in case something's running out of power. And you eliminate all that. I need my phone and I need change, and I keep my prices simple. I have the $19.99 or something on $20, $15, $10, and those are my prices. And so I keep fives and tens in change, and I have my phone in case someone has Venmo, and I have the little screen ready. And so when they're ready, they scan it and give them if they need it, the last 4 digits of the phone number, and boom, paid for. Once it clears, I put it down. They pay. I put the phone down beside me. I'm watching it. I'm signing the book, and then once it clears, boom, hand the book back to them. No problem. And I even said her name, Rachel, right? And like, yeah, it's me. I'm like, perfect. Yeah, we got it. We got it. It's all good. It's yours. And so keep it simple. Keeping it simple. And so here's what's great is that today we had a fantastic event, and not just in terms of sales. Again, my goal is to break even, and a little bit after lunch today, we hit that break even point. We were real close, and we hit the break even point. We were real excited about that. So everything was profit after that, and so that was great. So walking away having a positive income producing day was great, but it wasn't the goal. The goal was the conversations. The goals was connecting with the teachers, parents, librarians. And here's what's cool is because of that energy and stuff. One of the things I talk about is every time someone comes, I'm talking about the treasure hunting. I always drop this little nugget. I say, yeah, every time they'll say, oh, that's so fun. I say, yeah, every time I talk about that when I'm in schools, the kids love it. And they're eating out of my hands. They just love hearing about the treasure hunts. And it's almost inevitable. Somebody's going to say, oh, you do school visits? You're here local? I'm like, yeah, I'm here local, and I do school visits. And man, I'm in several schools. And yeah, what schools do your kids go to? And they'll say whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, I was in that school, or yeah, I'd love to get in. In fact, if you can help make that happen, we'd love to be part of your school and bring this to your school as well, because we're in several schools. And when I say that, those parents are starting like, oh yeah, I can make this happen. So today, uh, same kind of pitch. I'm talking, and got invited to come to a school to do a school visit. So book a school visit. I also met another author and got to work with him to help a future author. Let me say, he's written a book, but he hasn't published it yet, and he wants some coaching and consulting to get together and kind of help him along the way to get his book and make it a reality. So I'll be able to do some coaching for him, and then have another person I met that's through the library system that they're interested in bringing me in for an event. And then where this was hosted at was my college, is where this event was at. It was my undergrad I got at this school, and so got to meet the librarian today for the school. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I got to get you in to do some kind of event sometime." So I'm booking events that are paid through this event. Now we made a little money today, nothing much. By the time we did our expenses, write off all the expenses of it, didn't clear a whole lot. But I mean, it paid for us to justify going out there for it for sure. Covered all the expenses of it, and then a little bit of for our time. But what I'm going to make from those events will be well worth the time we put in there for today and to get into schools, because once I get into a school, I work to keep that relationship, and it will mean multiple school visits over time. And we got to meet other creatives and just be encouraging to other authors. And man, we walked away so refueled, tired a little bit. In fact, when I got home, ate dinner and sat down on the chair, and my wife's like, "You got to go record." And I'm like dozing off, I better get up there before I fall asleep and do some recording, get upstairs to the studio. And so I felt so refueled, and it was so encouraging. In fact, I want to show you a few clips just from today that we did record on site. Before we wrap this up, I want to show you just a couple of those clips. If you're watching the video version of this episode, you'll be able to see those. You'll be able to see the table and the booth and all that kind of stuff. And you're about to see just some highlights. I mean, just a couple of moments we pulled up the camera and recorded a little bit, just a little sneak peek of the setup and the energy and the fun things that were happening. And as we were getting close to the break-even point, and just some of these things, I'll probably repeat a little bit of what we've discussed right now, but just it'll reinforce kind of what we talked about today. So if you're watching, check this out. If you're listening, you'll be able to hear the conversation as well. You won't be able to see the booth. So hop on YouTube. If you're listening, hop on YouTube so you can check out what our booth look like and see what that looks like in general, and just some fun stuff if you get to watch us on the YouTube. If not, you can listen, and it'll be just as beneficial hearing kind of the process. Let's check this out. All right, hey, here we are at the Shreve Memorial Library Children's Book Festival. It's a great event that happens every spring. A lot of families come through here, and so I got the wife with me, and we've set up, and it's been exciting because kids recognizing
from being in schools, which is why you need to be in schools. But then also just books are flying off the shelf today, both literally from the wind and then also from kids just wanting to get our local treasure hunt that we have connected. So it's nice at these events if you can have something that helps draw kids in and want them to engage with you. So we have a couple things we do. One, we have our local treasure hunt that was part of our books, which I write treasure hunting books, and so I had to do one local. But also, you grab the jar there. Since we do treasure hunts, what we do is we pack a jar full of change and have kids take a guess. And if they get it right, we give them the jar. And then get every kid excited, even if they're way off. You know, it's not a whole lot of money in there, but it's a decent amount. But kids will guess like $800, and it's not that much. But it's always fun to let them guess. And we're like, oh, that's so close, but that's not it. or we'll say, it's really bad. We're like, well, that's a really good guess, but that's not it. So it's real fun. We have all the books out, though, and for all ages. So that's why it's also good when you come to these events, if you write multiple books for multiple ages. So I have books for younger kids and books for older kids. So when they come to the table, there's options for them. So if you can produce multiple books, that's great. So as you're growing as a children's author, focus on how can I produce books that reach different age groups, and it makes your table stand out. So we have several other local authors who are at this event, but a lot of them have one or two books for a particular age. So having multiple options is always helpful. So usually we end up doubling up. They'll buy an older kid book and a younger because there's a family that's coming. And when you have a local treasure hunt, it really helps to push. So when we give our sales pitch about the local treasure hunt, we almost sell it every time. So if you're trying to do something fun, add little fun activities like that to your books for events like this, and it makes a big difference. Hey guys, back from the festival here. I wanted to just remind you of a couple of things. These events are great for trying to sell some books, and ultimately one of the things that we talk about is like we want to break even. If we can break even at these events, our cost to get into them and our book sales, then we're happy with that, because the aim of these events is more about networking, recognition. You're trying to become a local expert in your area and just a known author. So if you can break even, that's great. So we're actually pretty close. We're looking at our numbers here, and we're like, what?
One book away.
One book away. So we sell a book, another book, and we still have a couple hours of this event. One more book, and we break even, and we're happy. But here's the great thing, is because of this event, I've picked up what'll probably be an author visit to a school, and connected with another author that I'll probably be able to help coach and mentor into him getting published. So I'll be meeting him for coffee, and then another author who has a podcast, and then we're going to look to do some exchanging on some podcast stuff. So capitalize on these events, not just to sell books, but to build your brand and then try to book events from them. So I'll have a school visit, more than likely it's going to come out of being at this event. So it's well worth it to show up to these events. So plus we've sold some books, so pretty happy with that. Yeah, fun times.
All right, just some fun clips from a great day today. So as we're wrapping up, I just remember this. Look, these events, they are about exposure, not just sales, not just making money. Break even. Shoot for break even. Even if you lose a little bit, it's not the end of the world. But try to break even. That's kind of your goal, is just to not lose money on this, but get you exposure, build your brand. Your goal while you're out there, first break even, right? But then the ultimate goal is to connect and book these paid events. Get booked. Get whether that's a school visit or whether that's a workshop that you do or whatever that might be. Get booked for one of these paid events. That's your goal. Get at least one. Go for one. And the more you talk about what you do and the opportunities for those, you got to be talking about the workshops and talking about the school visits and talking about paid events. You got to talk about those in order for someone to book you for them. But talk about it and get booked at one of those events. And then use the books, hooks, pause, pitch to help your engagement at these events. Books, hooks, pause, pitch. And if you nail those things, you nail the look of your resources that are out there, and they're clean and they look good, and they're obvious and well organized on your table, all that kind of stuff. Great. Your hooks, what's going to bring them over to the table, and candy or stickers or whatever your little giveaways might be, whatever works for your brand. The pause. what's going to keep them there, what's going to draw the crowd in. Maybe a little game that you have one kid play, or maybe, whatever it might be, what's going to create the pause that's not going to interfere with what's next. Because you don't want some activity where it takes people away from your table and they're not focused on your books. You want them still right there surrounded by your table. So, if you have a game off to the side, it's going to be a little more distracting than it is going to be the benefit of the pause. Because the pause is to draw a crowd to hear your pitch. And practice that. Lock it in, nail it down so that it gives a good, strong sales pitch for your resources. And maybe just your brand in general. You talk about the school visit thing, and who knows, you may book a couple of school visits in the process. So that's going to help you engage well. Books, hooks, pause, and pitch. And then most importantly, at these events, have fun. Have fun. Get out there, enjoy the day, enjoy being around your audience, enjoy being around these families, these kids, as they're picking up books and reading and meeting other authors and all that kind of stuff. These are very powerful events and opportunities, and they remind you why you do this, why you write. They remind you who you're writing for, that these kids, they need us to be creating these great resources. Well, today I hope this has been very helpful for you. If you've enjoyed this today and it's been a helpful resource for you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you are watching us on YouTube, great. We also have companion audio platforms that you can just listen to this while you're on the go. So if you're in the car and you can't watch it, you can listen. Or if you're listening to us, and like today, I showed some videos and stuff, and this is a video podcast that we do. So if you're just listening and you'd like to check out our YouTube companion video series of this exact same recording, you can check that out and see some of the videos from today, as well as the other videos we have that are logged in our resource bank on YouTube, so that you can see, especially as we have guests and all kinds of stuff. It's a great opportunity for you to see us and connect with us that way. So check out those other videos or those other podcasts, depending on what platform you prefer. And like, share, subscribe, connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out to us, leave comments. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave us some comments. We'd love to connect with you. And we've got some great content that's out there and some great content that's coming your way. I have some great guests that we're lining up, have some fun resources that are soon just around the corner, and some great episodes to come. These solo type episodes that are helpful on training on some of these little small things that sometimes authors have no one to help them with. So consider me your own coach here as we walk through some of this fun stuff in the author journey. Well, thanks again for joining me on the Children's Author Show. My name is Andy Coates, and I'll be back next week with another great episode packed with some insight, inspiration, and just some honest conversation. But in the meantime, if you're looking for a resource that's going to be beneficial to you, I have a great resource called the Children's Author Toolbox. And it's a very helpful thing for you if you're just starting out or trying to build your brand as an author. It's a great resource. You can find that on Amazon. The link will be in the show notes. You can check that out. And it'll be very beneficial for you. Well, until we come back with another episode, I want you to remember this. You don't have to do everything, but you need to do something. You don't have to book 12 of these events, but go book one. Start somewhere and show up. Show up boldly. Show up with confidence. You are an author. Show up, make your presence known, because your voice matters. Your stories matter, and your readers are out there, and they're waiting for you. And the best way to connect with them is at these types of events. So get out there, book one of these events, and enjoy the fun that they are. All right, we'll catch you next time. See ya.